approach the last here in the Supreme. It's Kalashnikov and Getabird head to head. They ping the last together. Ruby versus Jack Quinlan. Getabird from Kalashnikov all the way to the line. Kalashnikov sticks his head out. He wins the opener for Amy Murphy. What a race we have here, coming down to the last three in the line. Petit Mouchoir, Footpad and St. Calvados in a sandwich. They all ping the last. St. Calvados, he sticks his head out. But Ruby, he's getting more out of Footpad. Footpad wins the Arkle. Oh, Bouvardere, he's on the bridle. Barry Garrett, he looks to the left, he looks to the right. He pings the last. Barry, he's sitting motionlessly on this new superstar. Barry Garrity, he wins the champion hurdle on Bouvardere. Right, lads. It's only a bit of snow. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. It's the Racing Blogger here with his Cheltenham preview of the opening race on day one Tuesday, the Supreme Novice Hurdle. If you haven't been to Cheltenham before, it's all about the roar. It's all about the anticlimax before the first race kicks off. You can hear that roar right here now. If that didn't whet your appetite, if that didn't get your adrenaline buzzing, I don't know what will. You're a lost cause. I can't wait to be down with the crowd on the Tuesday before the Supreme, soaking up the atmosphere, feeling all of that turbocharged adrenaline, punters holding all of those tickets, having a dream. Those dreams are either going to come true after the first, or you're going to see a load of tickets, anti-post slips all over the floor. It really is an iconic moment in National Hunt racing. They're under starters' orders and they're off and the crowd erupt. It's going to be brilliant and I can't wait to be there. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. We're only 12 days away now from the Cheltenham Festival. We kick off with the 1:30. It's the Sky Bet Supreme Novice Hurdle. It's run over 2 miles and half a furlong. And some of the recent winners in recent years truly have been exceptional horses. We've actually been spoilt quite recently. Lebeque last year. Now, I don't like calling horses pigs, but this horse had a mind of his own. Lebeque would jump off when Lebeque wanted to. How on earth he won that race so easily, I'll never know. I'll never know how he even decided to jump off on the biggest stage of them all. But he did, and Gordon Elliott won his first Supreme Novices Hurdle. Last year was all about Altior. Now, talking about Altior, was the 2016 Supreme Novice Hurdle the best of all time? Altior, Min and Bouvardere. My oh my, what a roll of honour that 2016 race has turned out. If you've seen a better Supreme, please let me know down below. But in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that quite possibly is the greatest Supreme ever ran. Douvan the year before, you know, obviously Willie and Patrick always say we've had some great horses, but this was the greatest of them all. Unfortunately, injury has really curtailed Douvan's career, and at this stage, will he line up at the Cheltenham Festival? We'll talk about that in another video, but it doesn't look likely. The late Vitor, who died in the field, well, obviously banged his leg and got put down, but he was an absolute superstar, Vitor, and it's such a shame because he was a Cheltenham specialist, and then Willie won it with Champagne Fever. He's won it 3 times in the last 5 years. He's won it 4 times in the last 10. He had Eben Zayan in 2007. That's a pretty incredible record. The big question here will be, can Getabird give Willie Mullins, the master of Close Sutton, 5 winners from his last 10 runners in the Supreme? Not last 10 runners, but last 10 events in the Supreme. It's quite some feat indeed. If we go back a little bit longer, horses like Brave Inca, Like a Butterfly, Hall Are We, French Ballerina, Shadow Leader. We really have had some tremendous winners, but recent times, Vitor, Douvan and Altior, it's been pretty exceptional. Kicking off here with the Supreme, it's an interesting race. They're going to jump 8 hurdles. Now, typically the ground is good to soft on day one. We're currently suffering with Beasts from the East, hashtag Snowmageddon, hashtag when the fuck is it going to stop snowing? Don't ask me. I'm not sitting in the heavens. I'm just hoping that we don't get a real muddy Cheltenham Festival. All of my main bets anti-poster for horses who want a decent surface, and I'm really hoping we do get genuine good to soft ground, as I think it will be run on a fairly even level playing field. So let's kick off with a review, and then what I'm going to do at the end, I'm going to give my back, my each way, and my lay of the race. So today is the 28th of February. I'm going to run through the current betting at this stage for the Supreme. Getabird for Willie Mullins, just 6-4 fav. Kalashnikov for Amy Murphy, based in Newmarket, 6-1. Gordon Elliott's got Megley Khan there at 12. Somerville Boy for Tom George, a 12-1 shot. Claim taking Forgan for Nicky, 16s. Paloma Boo for Henry de Bromhead is a 16-1 shot. Then we've got some of the Willie Mullins kind of outsiders here. Shiraja, available at 20-1. Bitterly disappointing last time out at Leopardstown, it must be said. Duke Des Genevieve is 20-1, but apparently that's going for the 3 miler now. Then we've got a host of horses in the betting who aren't going to run. Lorena goes for the mares. Apple Shakira goes for the Triumph. Next Destination, I think that runs in the 3 miler. First Flow for Kim Bailey, a very young promising horse, due to run at Kelso, but that's been abandoned, so I don't think First Flow will be lining up in this race, but he's 33-1. Vision the Flow for Colin Tizard's a 33-1 shot. Real Steel, another of Willie's who was disappointing last time's 33s. Slate House available at 40. And then Scarlet Dragon for Alan King's a 40-1 shot. Now we're going to kick off. We're going to start this with a review of the horses, the main horses for the Supreme. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you Blogger's Banker, Blogger's Each Way Bet, and Blogger's Lay of the Race. And let's see how this works out. At this stage, the ground, I have no idea what it's going to be. I'm hoping it's good to soft. You know, we've obviously got hashtag Snowmageddon, hashtag stop fucking snowing. I just hope that we get good to soft ground. I hope that, you know, we get a level playing field. And the last thing we want at the Cheltenham Festival is mushy ground where horses don't get home, the good horses can't quicken. We want to see the true champions win. And hopefully the rain, you know, doesn't mix with the snow and it just all gets slushy and turns into a big slush puppy, because that would be, frankly, a load of old bollocks. Right, let's kick off with Getabird. So, Willie Mullins kicks off the Cheltenham Festival 2018 with a red-hot favourite in the shape of Getabird, likely to be ridden by Ruby Walsh, who should be back in time. Recent winners Champagne Fever, Vitor and Duvan. Getabird has a lot to live up to. He's got some big shoes to fill, because talking about horses like Vitor and Duvan, boy oh boy, your stablemates are really putting the pressure on you there. Getabird, you know, he won a point-to-point, he won 2 bumpers, and this year he's won a novice hurdle and a Grade 2 round Punchestown. Going back to the bumper, he won at Gorham Park on the 26th of January. He beat a horse there called Hardline. Getabird that day was a 10-1 on Fav and literally was all out to win by a length. Favourite backers probably had a coronary heart attack. But it turns out that Hardline's a fairly decent horse. He's gone on to win a listed novice hurdle at Punchestown and win a Grade 2 at Nace, beating none other than Impact Factor, who's also ran behind Getabird. So that bumper form there is pretty juicy if you have a look at that Hardline. He's trained by Gordon Elliott. This year, we've seen Getabird twice, and on all evidence, he's obviously more than a useful novice. He absolutely hosed up over 2.5 miles at Punchestown, beating Impact Factor, who currently went on to finish second behind Hardline in that race. The third horse that day, Beyond the Law for Mouse Morris, he's a real stayer. He's gone on to win 2 races over 2 mile 3 at Limerick and Clonmel, and on both times the ground there has been an absolute bog. So you can see why he kind of got outpaced by Getabird that day. But Beyond the Law is a decent horse. Impact Factor's a solid 135 horse, so it's pretty good form that. And then last time out, he stepped up to a Grade 2, the Moscow Flyer novice hurdle at Punchestown, and was really impressive. I mean, he quickened up from the last and powered away from Megley Khan. I just kind of have my slight reservations about that, because Megley Khan prior to that ran out at Leopardstown, and there's no obvious explanation for why he actually done that. I think it shows that the horse has a quirk. Potentially, he kind of has some sort of mental aspect. I'd be a bit dubious about reading too much into that form at this stage. The horse who was third that day, Carter Mackay, now he subsequently stepped up in trip. all the way up to 2 miles 6, was third at Leopardstown in their Grade 1 during the Dublin Racing Festival. Tower Bridge won that race at 25-1. Jets was second, rated 138. So I can't say too much about that whole form line at this stage. Both of the runs from Getabird this year have been on right-handed tracks. Obviously, Cheltenham's left-handed. There's no reason to assume that it's going to kind of, you know, take anything away from Getabird. I don't see why a horse can't run right-handed or left-handed. Obviously, we do get the odd occasion where some of them prefer to lean onto the right hip compared to the left hip, just like human beings. But I wouldn't have that down as a negative whatsoever. You know, Willie Mullins knows the time of day. Patrick Mullins thinks this is a very decent horse in all of the podcasts he's been talking about. And, you know, you can only say that Willie knows what it takes to win this race. He's kept the horse fresh for the race. He's had a 59-day break. And he'll be coming here with a big, big shout. There's no doubt about it. At this stage, I just haven't seen anything in the horse to suggest why he should be, you know, quite so short in the betting. When you look at a horse like Vitor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he went off in the region of around 11-4. I can't quite see it there. But for Getabird to be a top price 6-4 shot at this stage, I think I might just be taking on the bird. Ben had 2 runs prior to coming into the Cheltenham Festival and he went off at 2-1. Vitor had 3 runs. He was a Grade 1 winner and he went off at 7-2. At this stage, Getabird is shorter in the betting than both Vitor and Douvan. You have a think about that one for a few seconds. Next up in the betting is Kalashnikov for Amy Murphy, a young Newmarket trainer, the youngest trainer in Newmarket. She's a dual-purpose trainer, trains on the flat and over the jumps, and she's got herself a bit of a stable star here in the shape of Kalashnikov, who I had the pleasure of going to see before he won the big 2-mile hurdle at Newbury, and you can see a bit of that right here, right now. So here I am with Amy Murphy, and this is the stable star. I'm sure you all know who this is. It's the big boy, Kalashnikov. Grand stamp of a horse, big and powerful. And he has a big day ahead of him on Saturday in the Betfair Hurdle. How you doing, Jack?
Hi, how are
good
you?
to meet you. Stephen, good man. Looking forward to the ride on Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, I'll be glad.
Trot on a warm up now, more capsule on the other side. Don't get one away.
Ooh.
He's such a twat. Look at him, he like literally thinks he's King Kong.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very, very super enthusiastic. That should be good though. Say it again?
Yeah.
So just seeing Kalashnikov schooling on the gallops here with Amy Murphy, doing his final bits and pieces before his big race at Newbury on the weekend, and it's quite impressive to see. He's big, he's powerful, strong, athletic, and he kind of has that swagger where he knows he's really, really good. And I asked Amy off camera, the most good horses know they have this ability and have this kind of swagger, and she went, yeah, they've got this kind of arrogance about them. So really great to see, and the sun's coming. Right, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed getting close to Kalashnikov there. He's a big, powerful, strong individual who's got this real sense of an aura around him. He reminds me slightly of Mike Byte. When you see Mike Byte in the flesh, he walks around with a big, strong stride, and he kind of knows he's... Oh, Jesus Christ, just drunk about a litre of water. I'm so dehydrated with the central heating on, excuse me. He walks around with this big, powerful stride. He's got a real aura about him. He knows he's good. And it's like Amy Murphy said to me, when you've got a good horse, they know they're good. They know they're special and they strut their stuff. And this horse has been a real star for Amy this year. Started off the year winning a novice hurdle at Wetherby, went on to Doncaster and won again over 2 miles, beating Irish Prophecy. None of that form's really worked out that well at all, to be honest with you, to be frank. Stepped up next time out, went to Sandown for the Tolworth, and the going that day was heavy. It was really sticky, horrible ground, and he ran a good race. He was beaten 4 lengths by Somerville Boy for Tom George. Now, Kalashnikov that day lost the shoe. He hated the ground, and I think losing the shoe probably cost him the race as well as inexperience. I think he learnt a lot from that race. I think he learned how to potentially be a bit tougher, because next time out, he went to Newbury off a mark of 141 for the Big Betfair hurdle, and he absolutely destroyed some seasonal handicappers. Now, I remember talking to Amy, and, you know, there was a lot of worry about whether she was even going to let the horse take his chance, because the ground was a huge worry. She didn't want to ruin him on heavy ground, and I think he surprised a lot of people that day. She said to me that she thinks he's going to be a £10 better horse on a decent, good surface. And let's not forget, whatever this horse achieves over hurdles, he's going to be a far better chaser, because he's bred to be a serious chaser in time. But that performance in the big handicap hurdle at Newbury was truly top class in my opinion. Bluet Rouge was on the bridle jumping the last, but Kalashnikov just fairly powered away from him. It was quite eye-taking, and you had some horses in the race who just, you know, he left behind a lot of fairly good handicappers, and to do that on only his 4th start over hurdles, you couldn't fail to be impressed. Now, I quite like the fact that this is going to be his 5th run. He's going to come into the race as one of those horses who are going to be really battle hardened, and I think whichever way you look at it, Kalashnikov has, you know, every bit as good a chance as Getabird and all the other horses in the race. He's bred by Kalashnikov, who, if you don't remember Kalashnikov, he was trained by Luca Kamani, a seriously good flat horse who had some massive battles with, I think, Giant's Causeway, Aidan O'Brien's horse. He was a true top-class mile and a quarter horse. So his father knows a thing or two about being a battler. But I think Kalashnikov is going to continue to improve. I think Amy Murphy, you know, she's learnt from Luca Kamani. She's learnt from some of the best trainers in the world, Tom Dascombe. She knows how to train a good horse. And this horse is the stable's star. And I've got a feeling he's going to run a huge race. I think he's officially now rated by the BHA 154. And if you look at Altior and other horses who have won it recently, they had ratings of 153. And I think Duvan was 154 as well. So everything bodes well for Kalashnikov. I think he's a huge each-way player in this race. And for those of you who have got fancy prices on this horse, I think you're in a very, very good position. Because the AK-47 is coming for all of you Getabird boys to shoot you down. Maybe. Skipping along with the 3rd favourite, Meghli Khan for the all-conquering Gordon Elliott. Meghli Khan's an interesting character because prior to him running out in his 2nd to Getabird, I thought potentially this looked like a real top-class horse. But things haven't gone his way since. On the 12th of November at Navan, he hammered Willie Mullins' decent horse called Stratham. That was a good performance that day, and he went on to prove that there was no fluke by winning, I think, at the Royal Bond at Ferryhouse. It was a Grade 1 event. He battered Early Doors, who's been beaten since, but Hardline was 20 lengths behind that day, and we all know Hardline, trained by Gordon's fairly decent as he's gone on to win a Grade 2 himself. But since then, things haven't really gone Meghli Khan's way. He ran out at Leopardstown with no apparent excuses. That was on the 27th of December in the Champions Novice Hurdle. And next time out, he was 2nd to Getabird. And quite frankly, if we're being brutally honest here, Getabird left him for dead. He absolutely pulverised him. He absolutely destroyed him. How is Meghli Khan going to make up 9 lengths when it could have been 15? What's he going to do to turn it around? I've no answers. I don't think Megli Khan has any realistic chance of winning the Supreme on the opening day. I'm not impressed with his attitude at the moment. I think he's potentially, maybe he has some sort of issue. I just don't understand why he ran out. I don't see how Getabird battered him so easily. I don't think he's frankly putting it all in. And that's my humble view on Megli Khan. If you are backing Megli Khan, let me know down below. I think you might need to see a doctor. Tom George, Somerville boy, 4th favourite in the betting for the Supreme, available at 12-1 each way. And now, an interesting horse. He's ran twice at Cheltenham and has been beaten on both occasions. I quite frankly don't like that. He got beaten by Slatehouse. He got beaten by Western Rider, who, quite frankly, again, isn't the best of novices. Lahore was in that race, who also beat him. Lahore's disappointed on a number of occasions. I don't really rate much of that form. He beat Kalashnikov last time out in the Tolworth at Sandown. Obviously, I've mentioned the AK-47. He lost the shoe that day. The ground was an absolute bog. And I think, quite frankly, Somerville Boy was probably the only horse to really enjoy the really treacherous conditions that day. You know, he could run into a place if a few of them disappoint, but I think he's got a lot to prove. And again, going back to the point, 2 runs at Cheltenham already, and he's been beaten on both occasions. I do expect Kalashnikov to turn that form around with Somerville Boy, and I'd quite frankly be very disappointed if the AK wasn't a good few lengths ahead of Somerville Boy. Kicking off with a man who knows how to win this Supreme, Nicky Henderson, who needs no introduction whatsoever, won the race in 1986 with River Sirog. It just goes to show how long Nicky's been around. 1986, I was only 4 years old at the time. And then Jamie Osborne won it again for Nicky in 1992 with Flown. And obviously, for all of you young boys out there, for all of you youngsters, the new brigade, Altior in 2016. King Altior. So Nicky knows what it takes to win the Supreme, and this year he's got claim-taking Forgan. This is a really promising novice hurdler who disappointed last time out at Musselburgh, but if we just skip back to a bit of his past, you know, he's got all the pedigree to be a really decent horse. Won a point-to-point, beating Kildesart, who we all know is trained by Ben Pauling. That's a decent horse. Lufderg Spirit was back in 3rd that day, who Nicky also went on to purchase. He's been 2nd in a handicap of 137, 6th in the big 2-mile showpiece behind Kalashnikov. He's a decent horse that. He's rated about 138. Things haven't panned out his way. Keep an eye out for that horse, Lufderg Spirit. I know they think a bit of it. But he went on to win a bumper, beating Global Stage. And then was 3rd at the Cheltenham Festival behind Fiona, who obviously, you know, sadly we lost in the early parts of this season. So he's got some form around Cheltenham. 3rd in that bumper there that hold horses like Next Destination, Western Rider, Cause d'Azurs. Some decent horses. Better get along for Nicky Richards. So he's got some pedigree there at the Cheltenham Festival. This year, he's gone on to start off by winning a Newbury novice hurdle, went to Ascot for a Grade 2, quickened up nicely to beat Dr. Des, who's come out to win since. Was a bit disappointing recently, Dr. Des, over at Fontwell behind Old Guard, was beaten 25 lengths that day. It was a big step up in grade, wasn't quite good enough for it. But after doing that decent performance, Nicky took claim-taking Forgan up to Musselburgh, and he was only 3rd of 5, beaten at 7 of 4 on. Now, Nicky's had a few horses this year beat him when he goes up to Scotland. Quite a few of them have been odds on and quite a few of them have been beaten. I'm not sure if he's just leaving a little bit to work on. I'm not sure if the journey up there took something out of them. Who knows? Only the stable lad travelling Hadlead or Nicky will probably know a bit more about that. But he was disappointing that day. The ground was very soft at Musselburgh and potentially, you know, he just didn't like it. He couldn't quicken. But I've got to say, knowing that Nicky's going to have this horse 110% in A1 condition, knowing that Nicky has pedigree in the race, claim-taking Forgan's got a good, decent 3rd in the Cheltenham Champion bumper. We know that this is a horse who's got some class. We know he's got speed. I think at 16-1, he's got to be a fairly decent each-way bet. Nicky knows what it takes to win these races, and I like the fact that, you know, he's had 3 runs already. He comes there with experience. He's got bumper experience, point-to-point experience. He's going to be able to handle the rough and tumble of this race. I think claim-taking Forgan could outrun his odds at 16-1, and there's no better man training at the moment than Nicky Henderson, who's had an almighty year. I think he's operating at around a 34% strike rate. Truly is incredible. Now, another one of the Irish Brigade here is Paloma Blue, trained by Henry de Bromhead. And this horse comes into this race with some really substantial form. He ran behind Sam Crow last time out in the Dublin Racing Festival. It was the Deloitte Novice Hurdle, a Grade 1, ran over 2 miles. And I think his ultimate finishing position doesn't really tell the truth about the race Paloma Blue ran there. He ran way too free early on. He pulled too hard. Davy Russell managed to get him settled, but turning into the straight, he was the only horse to be able to match Sam Crow. Jumping the last, he simply had no more to give, and he kind of ran his race already. But if you take away the early exertions, the way he pulled too freely, I think he's clearly the second best horse in that race on that given day. He's definitely a decent novice. He's got a rating now. It's got to be around the region, I think, of 143 or 144. And I think Paloma Blue is a horse who's going to continue to improve, especially if he learns to settle. Prior to that, he won a nice race around Leopardstown, beating Impact Factor, who we've already discussed of Jessica Harrington's. And he's also a bumper winner and was second at Punchestown behind Fiona. Another decent form line there. I think Paloma Blue's definitely one of those horses that Henry will have trained to the moment. He's an exceptional trainer, Henry de Bromhead. I think he's as good as any of them out there. And he knows how to have a Cheltenham Festival winner, as he proved last year with Special Tiara. I think Paloma Blue is going to run a big race, and I think you can still get at this given stage 16 to 1. Let me just double check that. He is still 16 to 1. Again, he's one of these contenders you would think would shorten come closer to the day. I could see him going off around 12 to 1, and I think there's still a bit of value at the 16 to 1 each way. He's had a 37-day break. I think he would have learnt a lot from that defeat behind Sam Crow, and like I said, if Henry can get him to settle, he's definitely a contender for the place money here. I can't see him winning, but I do think Paloma Blue has the potential to run into the top 3 in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Let's get serious. Let's get down to the serious stuff. Who's going to win the Supreme? Let's give a nap. I'm going to give you an each way, and I'm going to give you a lay. Let's get serious here now, boys and girls. The 130, we need to get off to a flyer. It's every punter's dream, and I'm bringing out the big boys. I'm bringing out the AKs. AKs all around. Kalashnikov for Amy Murphy. He is my nap to win the Sky Bet Supreme Novice Hurdle on day 1. I was so impressed when I went down to Amy Murphy's yard to see this horse in the flesh. He's big, he's strong, he knows he's powerful, he's got an aura about him. And that performance at Newbury last time, winning on ground that wouldn't have suited him, suggested to me there's a lot more to come. Amy has stated he's going to be better on better ground, and he's now rated 154, which is a similar rating to Altior when he came into this race last year. I think Kalashnikov can win the opener. I think the best each way bet at this stage is Claim Taking Forgan for Nicky Henderson, still available at 16 to 1. Forget about the run at Musselburgh last time out. Back on a better surface. Nicky will have this horse freshened up. He could definitely run into a place. I think he's got a nice turn of foot, that horse. He'd be my each way selection. And as you all know, if you're going to lay a horse, it's got to be a jolly. I'm looking to get Getabird beat. You know, he's 6 to 4, and you look at Vitor and Duvan, who are 2 to 1 and 7 to 2 in this race, respectively. What on earth has Getabird done to be shorter than the mighty Vitor and Duvan? He's done nothing at all. Sorry, I'm just losing my voice here. So, based on that, at the current 6 to 4, Getabird simply has to be a lay for me. I think there's no value in backing him. I'm not trying to put any of you off who want to back him. If you think he's the best horse in the race, if you think he's the best price for the best horse, you should get on. But for me, I don't see why he's so short. Based on the Duvan Vitor factor, I'm willing to take him on. He's going left-handed for the first time. His jumping hasn't been the most fluent. And on a better surface, if he doesn't buck his ideas up, he could get found out. Now, I'm probably going to eat humble pie. He's probably going to win and turn out to be a superstar. But this game's all about having an opinion. It's all about being opinionated. Because as a punter, what you need to do is to be able to read form, have an opinion, and back your opinions up. I'm not afraid to put my neck on the line. I'm going for Kalashnikov to win the Supreme, claim taking 4 gun each way. And you guessed it, I'm laying Getabird. See you all at Cheltenham. More reviews to come. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be uploading a load of content that I hope a load of you will like. And you can find me on Twitter at Racingblogger. Let's hope we all have a very, very profitable Cheltenham. I'm losing my voice here.